wave that's happening in Atlanta, and what are your plans to do something about it?
You cannot feed all this mainstream media. We have to get the real good information. We got to get that because they're hiding it.
Family. It's time to resurrect our minds.
Hello, and good morning. Y'all got me jumping to the wrong screen. Good morning. Welcome. Let me know if you all can hear me and see me the way you're supposed to. Let me know. I see you all. Type something in the chat. Y'all are coming in the room. Good morning, Marguerite. Good morning, James Tony. Good morning. That would be my dad. Good morning, Michael Langford. I see you guys there. You all make sure to let me know that you all are here and let me know that you can actually see me and hear. Oh, good. Thank you. Well, let's go ahead and jump right into it. Let me turn this phone on silent. Although I will have it up just in case somebody needs to text me about an audio problem. Okay, great. Hello, Jackie. Thank you guys for showing up. All right, all good. Let's go. You guys, today I already told you guys last week that we're definitely probably going to be going over the allotted 20 to 30 minutes, but maybe only about 10 minutes or so. So you guys stay tuned. We have a super important topic that we're talking about on today. But of course, I got to first welcome you guys here. Hey, Anthony Maurice, I got to welcome you guys here. I got to say thank you for showing up each and every week to Unfiltered with me, your host, BC Wright. I got to tell you, we are on Facebook Live. I see you guys on Facebook. I see you guys also showing up on YouTube. So we are grateful to have you from whatever platform. Hello, Gifty. Welcome. From whatever platform you happen to be joining us from on today. So with that being said, you guys, welcome. And let's go ahead and jump right into it. As you guys know, we like to start with today in history. So let's start with today in history. Good morning, Dr. K. Good to see you in the house. You guys I think y'all are going to be really intrigued by today's topic. Today is February the 16th of 2022. So what do we have going on today? I actually am going to start with something that's a little bit heavy, you know, that happened this week in history. And then we're going to get into some lighter, more exciting things. So let me go ahead and start with that first. What you all see behind me, somebody already knows what this picture represents. If you do, type it in the chat. Today is February 16th, and this week, in 1942, actually on February the 19th, during World War II, about 120,000 people of Japanese ancestry, most of them who lived on the west coast of America, were forcibly relocated and incarcerated in concentration camps on the western half of our country. And here's the deal. The majority of the people who were detained were United States citizens. This happened here, and by 1992, the U.S. government actually reimbursed or gave reparations to the Japanese to the tune of more than 1.6 billion in reparations were paid to Japanese Americans who had been interned in America during World War II. So there were still, at that time that they were paying out, there were still 82,000 of them who were still alive to be able to receive that compensation. So I wanted to start off with that because that happened, 80 years ago in 3 days is when that order was signed. So, you know, don't say what can't happen in America, because it can happen anywhere. So that is what happened. I'm looking at that part of history, but let's go on to something a little bit lighter. I want to show you guys this. We have do you guys know who this is? And thanks to, I guess it's called Black Excellist for this photo. I love how they captured this photo. Do you all know who this gentleman is? Well, let me show you. You guys will see a little video clip that's running up there behind me, and as we're celebrating this month being February, although I celebrate us every single month, the person that you guys see in front of you, his name is Shawnee Jackson, became the first Black athlete to win an individual Winter Olympics gold medal, period, when he placed first in the men's 1,000 meter long track final in Italy. What's interesting about him being the first Black American to win a gold in the Winter Olympics is that he came and did it again the very next year. He repeated it and won it again. But of course, you know, things are not without controversy. He was such a good skater. And when I see him like skating and coming in for the win, how many of you guys are sitting there listening to the song in your head? What is that song by What's that song? You guys know what's the roller skating song? Help me out, somebody. I'm listening to the roller skating song where he's like coming around the bend and all I see is that. Because I'm like, you from Chicago and that you learned all these skills that you got from roller skating. But in any event, it was Cool in the Gang. That's the way, I like it. Y'all, I feel like he was listening to that in his ears. But here's the point. It was not without some type of, controversy. He was so good at this that when he went for his Olympic trials, the other two white guys and him were accused of, because traditionally this has been a white person's sport, we'll do cold, it's ice skating. But he was accused of cheating because he was so fast and he broke a record. They said that his teammates were skating slower to make sure that he could make the team. It was such a big deal. They had to go before the board and everything else, which is why he stopped talking to the media. And that's why a lot of people stopped talking to the media, because he couldn't even have his glory day. So let's go into that. That's This Week in History. We're celebrating that Olympic win. Congratulations there. And we got some birthdays we want to celebrate. You guys will see the slideshow going up behind me. Y'all know that Susan B. Anthony, we're celebrating her on this week. She's a pioneer and crusader for the women's suffrage movement, of course. And the guy I have behind me, I want to pause for a second. I didn't even know this, and let me go back to him. I didn't know this, but this gentleman right here, his name is Richard Allen. He is actually the founder of the AME Church, the African Methodist Episcopal Church, and he was born in Philadelphia in 1760. This week in history. So that was a little fun fact that I found out while I was researching. Of course, you guys know who this guy is. Y'all know who he is. Somebody give it to me in the chat. He's very famous. They show his picture every February of every single year. You guys know this is W.E.B. Du Bois. And we are, no, it's not. It's Frederick Douglass. Had y'all for a minute. It's Frederick Douglass, and we are celebrating him because he was born, we don't know when, in February of 1818, but we do know he died February 20th of 1895. So we are celebrating him and all of his contributions to America, period, not just to African Americans, because this is our country. In addition to that, let's see who else do we have on the birthday list for today. We have, okay, I guess it don't want me to, okay, we'll start over here. Well, it don't want me to show you all the rest of the pictures, so that's okay. I'm just going to tell you the names. We also have celebrating today, we have, what is his name? Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan's birthday is on today. See, when the technology messes up, you got to remember. Michael Jordan's birthday is on today, so we are celebrating him as well. And his birthday is, we're celebrating. In addition to that, we are celebrating Toni Morris. Toni Morrison's birthday is actually this week as well. You all will know her as a famous writer and author, so that's exciting to be celebrating that. In addition, we are going to be talking about couple other folks. I want to say them in, I don't want to get out of order because I got to transition on one of them. Okay, that's right. Gregory Hines is an American dancer and choreographer. We're celebrating him. He was born this week as well. And for those of you guys who are hopping on, no, you are not seeing the right person because my slide decided to stop working, but it's okay. We're still going to acknowledge those people on today. In addition, American author Harper Lee, who wrote To Kill a Mockingbird. She actually was born this week. But of course, she died at the age of 89. And we are celebrating Rihanna. Rihanna's birthday is actually this week as well. She is age 33. Her birthday is February 20th. She was born in 1988. But speaking of Rihanna, let's go ahead and transition to our next segment, which is called Did You Know? Did you know? Did you know? Did you know? Guys, did you know? And I got to ask this. Did you guys know that during the pandemic, nearly 500 people became, we ain't talking millionaires, we're talking billionaires. So NFTs were not the only things that were being minted during the pandemic. While many people were getting their stimulus checks and unemployment checks and participating in the PPP to prison pipeline program, a new billionaire was being created every 17 hours. So while people were running around rapping about them millies, Forbes was adding 493 newcomers to the billionaire rankings. one of the people who was added to the billionaire rankings, which is why I mentioned her name on today, is actually Rihanna. Rihanna is now a billionaire, y'all. She's a billionaire. And so I want to congratulate her on that. And I want to acknowledge that today. She is the world's richest female musician, period. Forget black musician. I said richest female musician, period. Okay. So I realized what it is. Let me take this bracelet off. In addition to that, she's worth 1.7 billion, and a lot of it has to do with her stake in a company called Fenty Beauty, which you guys see sitting there behind her. She's also being honored in her country, Barbados, because she is their first billionaire. So congratulations to her. But I can't leave this segment and jump into today's show without acknowledging our very own, because I live in Atlanta, so I got to acknowledge this gentleman who is now a billionaire as well. Who am I talking about? I am talking about none other than Tyler Perry. Tyler Perry is also, as of last year, a billionaire. You all will know that, of course, him from the Medea movies, but one of the things that I'm so proud about is the fact that, did you know his studios are right here in Atlanta, and they're actually on grounds that used to be a base for the Confederate Army, and he's a newcomer to the Billionaire Club. Of course, there were 9 of the new billionaires were thanks to the development of the COVID vaccine. They're in the pharmaceutical industry, but of course, no one on the planet is exactly shocked about that. That being said, let's jump into today's topic, blackout. So let me come over here to the chat. I see you guys. All right, no questions. All right, let's jump into it. We're going to talk about the topic of blackout today and the fact that a blackout is imminent. All right, so hold on. I see a note coming in. Let me make sure we're good, because you know my sissy texts me to make sure that we're okay. Yes, I know. Thank you so much for that. I do need to check that, and I'm going to do that on a break. Thank you so much. Okay, so we're going to talk about the fact that there's a blackout that's imminent, okay? The impending war with Ukraine has brought to the forefront something that we have spoken about on Unfiltered during one of our shows with special guest, CEO of Informative Services, Michelle Renee. You guys will know her. She's been on here twice talking about cryptocurrencies. And the second time that she was on our show, she stated that the next pandemic would be a cyber pandemic. In fact, just yesterday, this happened. And it's interesting that as I was putting the show together, I actually saw this and I was like, wait, what? Just yesterday, this happened. The Ukraine government announced that their banks were hit with what they call a denial of service attack. This is the type of cyber attack where they flood the system so that you can't access anything, you can't do anything, and it shuts everything down. According to the Ukraine government agencies, a cyber attack hit the websites of the Ukraine's defense ministry and their armed forces, as well as 2 of their banks. I want y'all to think about this and the fact that, you know, the United States, at least, other countries are saying it was never going to happen, but at least the United States is saying that there's a war that was about to happen between Russia and Ukraine, and then there's a cyber attack that has been announced by Ukraine on their systems. But this announcement is not what prompted today's show. But before we get into today's show, I want to make sure we understand what the definition of imminent actually is. Imminent means about to happen. That's one of the definitions, okay? But it also is similar to it's impending, it's at hand, it's close, it's near, it's approaching. But we're going to talk about number 2 and the fact that it is overhanging. It's like looming over our heads that there is going to be a blackout, and you're about to learn the reasons why. So I want to call your attention to an organization, which some of you may know. Thank you, Michael Langford. He already knows. He says it's guaranteed. So we have the Ukraine news, and then we have an organization called the World Economic Forum. Anybody heard of them? There's an organization called the World Economic Forum that is composed of the world's top business leaders. A lot of millionaires are in the group. A lot of billionaires are in the group. And their stated objective is to influence global agendas. That's their stated objective. The World Economic Forum does have a history of preparing for and simulating certain disasters before they happen. And right now, they're preparing for a cyber attack to include a worldwide blackout. Let me give you an example of things that the World Economic Forum has been involved in before. They had an event called Event 201, and you guys can see it's called a global pandemic exercise. That's what that is. It's called Event 201. And you guys, I'm going to show you guys the clip, and you guys can read that for yourself, where I talk about what happened during this global pandemic exercise. This Event 201 was a tabletop exercise, meaning they did it at a desk, right? On how to respond to a global pandemic, which in their hypothetical would include interrupting air travel, food supply, businesses, and every other sector of living that we know of. Partnering with the World Economic Forum for this event were Johns Hopkins University, of course, the medical piece, and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Of course, the involvement of Bill Gates in pandemic preparation should come as no shock, since he's been talking about the need for a pandemic for the preparation for the last 5 years. Just search YouTube, or I don't know, Google it. But in a blackout, you're not going to be able to Google anything, but we'll talk about that shortly. I want to talk about some of the key players in these simulations. The following companies were there. Marriott was there for the hospitality industry. You had the United Nations was there. Henry Schein Medical Group was there. Lufthansa Airlines was there. UPS was there for our delivery and supply chain issues with that. The CDC was there. And Johnson & Johnson were there at this simulation. This simulation event took place in October of 2019, before the pandemic. And everything that they kind of talked about or pondered about, if you will, in this fake exercise came to pass within 6 months. The only difference in their simulation and outcomes is that in their exercise, the virus originated in South America. That's the only thing that's different. Everything else came to pass. So when I look at that, we have to pay attention and say, okay, well, what is the World Economic Forum looking at now? More recently, the World Economic Forum, their exercises are focused on cyber attacks, and they are supporting this effort that's called Cyber Polygon. So let's look at Cyber Polygon. So this is a screenshot from their website, and Cyber Polygon is an annual online event where organizations get to assess their level of resilience. This initiative is supported by Interpol and the World Economic Forum Center for Cybersecurity. Now, here's what I want us to do. I want us to take a look at Klaus Schwab. He is the founder of the World Economic Forum. I want you to take a look and listen to what it is he said during his opening remarks.
We all know, but still pay insufficient attention to the frightening scenario of a comprehensive cyber attack, which would bring to a complete halt to the power supply, transportation, hospital services, our society as a whole. The COVID-19 crisis would be seen in this respect as a small disturbance in comparison to a major cyber attack. We have to ask ourselves in such a situation, how could we let this happen? Despite the fact we had all the information about the possibility and the seriousness of a risk attack.
Thank you, Tiffany, for texting me. And my sister's calling me. Girl, let me tell y'all something. I've been going. So you can tell when I'm not looking at the chat, and I will go back. Where did y'all lose me? Y'all lost me after the video. So I muted myself during the video. So let me go back to what I talked about after the video. So guys, he called COVID-19 a small disturbance in comparison to the cyber attack that they project as imminent. So to me, that was huge. I was like, a small disturbance? What? And so according to a well-known journalist, one of the exercises had to do with a global virus that had infected every known software and computer. And the only way to stop the virus, you guys, was going to be to shut down the internet via the power grid, like shut it all down. As a matter of fact, she used the term that they were going to be sanitizing the internet. This is called a global blackout. Now, I don't know how long it takes to sanitize the internet. You know, hopefully not as long as it takes to clean my house, but I don't know how long it takes. But here's what I do know, that with or without this virus, this made up virus that could cause this coordinated global blackout, we are still in imminent danger. Why? Because our power grid could fail for many other reasons, not just this targeted cyber attack against the electrical grid, which is one of the reasons, but we have a solar geomagnetic storm that could happen, and we have a change in weather patterns, which is impacting the geriatric nature of our power grids. If you don't believe me, let's take a look at some things that have already occurred, and some of these things have occurred recently in the news. So let's take a look at this. Let me pull this up here for you guys, or turn that off. So let's look here. So recently, I don't know if you guys get out my notes, Michael. Texas is a great example. I don't know if you guys know this, but SpaceX, Starlink recently, like this is February 8th article, recently lost 40 of their recently launched satellites due to a geomagnetic storm that hit the Earth. But that's not the only thing that the geomagnetic storm caused. So let's talk about like what this looks like. This event is called a CME, really. It's a coronal mass ejection from the sun. The same event that knocked down his satellites, right? This caused these super fast solar winds to happen, and it knocked down the satellite. But in addition to that, the storm also knocked out radio in Russia, period. It didn't have a destructive impact, but the solar storm caused a radio blackout in Russia. And that's where the most severe impact was seen. But this isn't the first of those geomagnetic events that we can see. And they're still putting it back together. So we need to pay attention to changes in the atmosphere and the fact that we could have to deal with geomagnetic forces that could take out the power grid in different sections, or depending on how large it is, all over the planet. In addition to this fear of a geomagnetic storm coming, we also have what Michael just talked about. Do you guys remember the ice storm in Texas? This is a picture like of what really happened. There were icicles hanging from the ceiling in Dallas. There were icicles hanging from the ceiling. And it was historic because no one would expect to see icicles hanging from ceiling fans. No one would expect to see that. In addition to that, we have this. One power grid in Texas is responsible for 90% of the state's electricity and serves 26 million customers. It's a major problem because one little thing happens and you have 26 million people who do not have power. This is an issue. And you know, another reason we know this is an issue, let me go down here to this screen here, is because the Department of Energy launches a new initiative from President Biden, the infrastructure law, to modernize the national grid. They recognize that there is a problem with our national grid and the problem needs to be addressed. So in addition to, you know, the fear of these cyber attacks and
we all
these
know,
other things that are
but still,
happened, in addition to all the cyber attack and all the other things that have happened, we have these other factors that we have to pay attention to. But here's something I want you guys to see. This has happened before. A country has lost their power before. Let's take a look.
Without any power, you can't buy food. You can't get fuel for a generator. Hospitals are struggling to keep on working. It's a country in darkness. People are dying. This is a story that may go away for you as a viewer after you watch this. This is a story that doesn't go away for me as a journalist. It stays with me constantly because I'm incredibly worried for what's going to happen with the people I know and my relatives in the country. My family, as most Venezuelan families, is quite big, so I've got quite a big spread of people in different parts of the country. A lot of people I'm talking to regularly tell me about helplessness. They never thought it would come to this. This is like The Walking Dead. This is like living in the apocalypse. You can't go to a cash machine. You can't get on the internet. You cannot go to a shop and buy something you need. I've been speaking to doctors in different hospitals and they tell me how much of a struggle it is to keep, for instance, intensive care equipment going. So children with intensive care equipment had to be switched off. And when I asked her, but what happens to them in the meantime? She was like, well, they are in the hands of God. A lot of my family are asking me in London what's going on in the country because there is no way to check on your phone, or they're trying to call other people but the mobile phone systems are down. And I just still don't think we know how deep of a problem it still is because some regions are virtually out of reach.
No puedo estar en esto. Mira cómo almaceno el agua. Está cocinando pollo para ver si se salva.
The government is calling this a cyber attack, but I think the widespread view is most likely Venezuela has been suffering from power shortages for at least 10 years, and this is just the result of a huge infrastructure failing. I think the major worry for all Venezuelans is that if there is a structural problem with the main dam that provides hydro energy to all of the country, then this is not going to go away.
You guys, that video is somewhat sobering when you see all the things that begin to happen when people are without power. And it's not like they were without power for a month. I think, what did it say? Was it a week that they are without power? So we need to be prepared and we need to start paying attention, okay? So here's the deal. One of the, like we can talk about, and Michael just put up some great ideas about water and first aid kits and all those things, and we're going to talk about those things. And we've talked about them on the show when we said, are you prepared for the storm? But this is a little bit different. One of the major risks that people don't pay attention to during a power outage, 6 days, thank you, Michael, would be the weather. Are you prepared for that? So I don't know what climate you live in, but if you live somewhere that's extremely cold and you have no power, what is your heat source going to be? Do you have wood burning fireplaces? Because if you don't, then you need to figure out, like, how are you going to be able to heat your home? Those are things that need to be considered in the event of a long power outage. There are some people who are predicting that the blackout could last 7 days. Others are saying it could last a month or more when we have a blackout. I want you all to pay attention to that's the fact that why we're having this conversation on today. And if you live in a hot climate, think about how the temperatures have been rising each and every year. Our climate has been getting hotter and hotter, right? So if you live in a hot climate, we already have hundreds of additional people dying every year from heat strokes, and the air conditioning is on. So imagine there's no air conditioning. You have to be thinking about how are you going to keep yourself cool in those environments as well, to be able to cool down, to make sure that you have shade and shelter and things like that. Water is always going to be a concern, so we need to pay attention to that. But there are some other things people don't think about. Airplanes. So what happens if you're on an airplane when the power grids go down? They have, all of the air towers have emergency power to last them 24 hours so that they can land all those planes in 24 hours, so you don't have to worry about that. But you do have to worry about where you're going to use the bathroom when you get off the plane, because when the electricity is out, the plant that recycles your waste is not working. And so you could end up with waste backed up in your home, like some of the people did in Venezuela, because they weren't aware that that was one of the consequences of not having power. Of course, we know food is an issue because your food is done after 2 days. So you need to make sure that you have some dried foods. Do you have something to cook it in? What about medical emergencies? That's the thing that got me. They're in God's hands now. But God gives us wisdom, and we have enough wisdom to know that there are some things that are coming that we need to be prepared for. Do we have access to solar power generators? I believe Rutho is the one who recommended that on one of the shows when we talked about preparedness and being ready. Do we have access to these solar power generators? Are we paying attention to even getting solar powered things like battery chargers and things in your home? There is a way to get through it, but it's going to require planning. It's going to require preparation. My thing is, you're not going to be able to communicate the way you used to unless your parents have one of those satellite telephones. You're not going to be able to reach your family. So mom, I'm just telling you, if we have a blackout, I'm expecting you to like be at my house within the next 24 hours, period. And so do you have a plan with your family long distance about how you all come together if that is the plan, and how you communicate with one another? This is why I'm bringing this to you, but then you can't get gas at the gas station because the electricity is not on, so you're not going to be able to get gas there. Do you have enough propane gas at your home? Do you have a place to store additional gas? Stop running around with your cars on empty like I do. Like, after I started researching this, I said I have to do better because I, for one, am known to keep my car like on a fourth or less until my husband drives it because I know he's going to go fill it up. I have to do better. So keep gas in your car. So really, this is really a day that I'm talking to you guys about the fact that that blackout is imminent. It is going to happen. Tiffany says she's guilty. It's going to happen. So it's time for us to do what? Stay woke. Be blessed and stay woke. With that being said, let's get to the Be Blessed segment for today. I already have my number in place. You guys know how we do. And actually, you have a greater chance of winning today because I forgot to send out the notice that I was live, so people will catch it on the replay. But for today, you guys, I'm going to make it easier. Put a number 1 through 50. We normally put a number 1 through 100, but let's put a number 1 through 50 in the chat on today. So let's go. Okay, so I'm sitting here smiling because I was like, ain't nobody close. And then here comes Gifty. Gifty, you are close because the number for today, let me make sure I didn't miss anybody, is actually 1. The number for today is 1. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. 1, 1. 1 mission, 1. It says 1 plan, 1 mind, 1 mission, 1 times 1 equals 1. Today is 1. You and your family need to have a plan and be of one mind and one mission when it comes to making, yes, the number is 1. The number is 1. The number is 1. So congratulations to Gifty. I see you, Tiffany, on the redo. Congratulations to Gifty. You guys, thank you so much for showing up on today. And I hope that you learned something, and I hope that you will take this seriously and be prepared for things that are coming. I could have had a whole conversation about the World Economic Forum just by itself. But you know, hi, Christina. I see that you put number 1, but it's late. We've already announced the winner. I don't know if there's a delay on your end, but congratulations to Gifty for being the winner for today. So I appreciate you guys. Please stay woke. Please pay attention to the things that are happening and that are coming, because we can know things are coming, but the problem is we don't take steps to prepare. And that's the purpose of being here today. Power today was not about the electric grid. Power is about taking the knowledge that you have and applying it. So with that being said, I look forward to seeing you guys next week. Until then, be blessed and stay woke. So talk to me a little bit about this crime wave that's happening in Atlanta, and what are your plans to do something about it?
You cannot feed on this mainstream media. We have to get the real good information. We got to get that because they're hiding information.
Family. It's time to resurrect our minds.